Good afternoon, everybody. I put a Padlet in the chat, so if you could click on that and get that open and answer the first question on the Padlet, which is one positive writing experience you've had so far this year, while we are waiting for others to join, that would be great. And also, if you are watching as a team, please make sure everybody's name is in the chat so I know to give you credit.
Can I have Gabby for dismissal? Gabby?
Thank you, Lauren. I have you both down. I'll give it about 2 more minutes because I know that people are running in probably from dismissal. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Cassie. For those of you who are just joining, why don't you go ahead and put your name in the chat so you get credit. And then also I have posted a link to a Padlet in there, and I'd like you to answer the first question, something positive that has happened with writing so far this school year. Thank you, Katie. Oh, okay. Thank you, Alicia. And Carol. Ooh, I see that some people put in there that their students are excited to try writing this year. Ooh, some students have decided to write a chapter book. I love that. If you don't want to put it in the Padlet and you want to put it in the chat, that's completely fine with me too. I was just trying to get techie and try something new with the Padlet. Try to spice up the virtual PDs. And because we are such a small group, there's 10 of you plus me, so 11. If you feel like just unmuting, asking a question, kind of an open chat, I kind of want to get through this PowerPoint. We're gonna dig deeper into Q1's supplemental resources that we've created at the district level for you. And then I really want to have kind of an open conversation and get your feedback and see any questions that you have so far about the writing this year. So let me check the Padlet one more time. Okay. We are going to get started. So like I said, we're going to take a deeper dive into the Q1 resources, but like we always like to start, we like to know the why behind our reasoning of having this in the goals for our session. So we're going to get a deeper understanding of the communication benchmarks. We are going to do an overview of the new instructional materials, and we are going to, hopefully with enough time, take a deeper dive into the writing rubrics, and also we have created a writing checklist for K-2, which is a little bit more, which is more student friendly for them to be able to assess their own writing. So, of course, why should I utilize the writing curriculum? We took your feedback, and we know that benchmark advanced writing was not the best. So we listened to what you guys said for this school year, and we have supplemented in writing using some WriteScore, coming up with our own writing lessons. So it just depends where it fell in the curriculum. But we know that in order for students to become great readers, we also know they need to be great writers. So that connection, that writing instruction, will improve their reading comprehension and fluency, and it promotes critical thinking. And students also need that explicit instruction in writing. It's not just, here's your piece of paper, now go write. We need to teach them how to do it, that explicit instruction. We also know that the effect size, Hattie's effect size, is a 0.82. And it shows you that writing really supports the reading. They go hand in hand. So just like we use and we take the text and we break it apart and use graphic organizers to think about it, we could do the reverse in text structure. We could do the reverse with our writing. We start with our graphic organizers and then write the piece. They go hand in hand. I'm not sure if everybody has seen the writing rope before, but just like the reading rope, Joan Sedata, I always say her last name wrong, created this in 2019. It is an instructional framework for teaching writing across all grades that have 5 different categories, or writing skills that student must learn to become skilled writers. Critical thinking, which is their brainstorming, the syntax, which falls with the grammar, text structure, how it is organized, the writing craft, and transcription, which is the spelling and handwriting and keyboarding, or however the students are getting that across, be it paper or keyboard. And a lot of the times nowadays, we are doing the keyboard. Evidence shows that students' skills with syntax and grammar in their oral and written expression is linked to reading comprehension. When students expand their understanding of how sentences work, they can make meaning of sentences with greater complexity and thus have access to increasingly complex text. Even before children become proficient writers, skills begin to develop and can be strengthened through intentional instruction using oral language strategies as well. So this is a little something too. I found a little video the other day. I thought about putting it in here, but I was like, oh, we're gonna run out of time because we only have an hour. But I'll send it out to you guys on an email, and I'll send this PowerPoint as well. So our first goal is to take a deeper dive into the communication benchmarks that will be spotlighted in your grade level. So let's take a look at those. And this is where I sent an email asking if you had your best standards booklet to have that handy. We know that we have a narrative benchmark standard. We have an argumentative, expository, and then we also have improving writing, which is kind of that process writing. So those are the main ones. There's a couple other ones under communication as well. I also want you to know that in the back of your, some people have a binder, some people have a booklet, some people have a PDF on their computer, but in the back of the appendix part, there are some really good resources to support writing. Of course, we have our EEs, our ELA expectations that we tuck in to our standards every day. Those also can be tucked in with our writing as well. We have some reading components in the back that can help us. There's some communication ones in the back. There's vocabulary and there's other resources for foundations. And then in the very back, we have the glossary of terms. And we'll get a little more into this in a little bit. I'm going to let you guys do a little bit of exploring. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to break out into breakout groups. And each room is going to, I'm going to put us in 4 rooms, and each room is going to be assigned one of the benchmarks to look at a little bit deeper. So let me pop through this so you guys can see. The first thing I'm going to have you do is read the benchmark and its clarification if there is one. Lauren, it is in the standards booklet. Or if you don't have the standards booklet, let me see. Ooh, I don't know if I can upload. Hold on one second. Let me do this. Let's see if it'll let me upload from my computer. I keep it right on my desktop. Best standards. Let's see if it might be too big. Let's try it. I'm trying. I don't have it linked. I can try to link it in a second if you don't have it handy. Or if you just search ELA Best Standards, it should pop up where you download it as a PDF. Yeah, I think it's too big. Let's see what it's saying. People in my organization can see it. Let's try. Ooh, it looks like it works. So you can just click right there, those of you who don't have yours handy or just want to use the PDF format of it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you're going to get into your room. So it's going to take me a minute because I have to set you guys up in that. You're going to read the benchmark and the clarification if there is one. Discuss any keywords or phrases from the benchmark and the clarifications. And then I would like you to go to the back and explore the appendix section. See if there's anything that you find in there that might help you support your students when you're teaching writing. So read the benchmark, discuss the key components if there's any clarifications, and then look in the back of the appendix to see if there's any resources back there to support your writing. So let me get you guys out into groups. We're going to do this. We're going to try to do it on the Padlet. If you don't want to put it on the Padlet and you just want to unmute when we come back together, that is completely fine too. Let me do the Padlet one more time before you guys go so you can open it up. And hopefully someone was able to, hopefully you're able to open that. Okay. And we're gonna take about 8 minutes.
Club, I need Isabel Fuentes.
word work, and they're like, well, why can't I put in the mark?
I think we're back in the group.
Yep.
But for
All right.
them to start doing it themselves, it's crazy. I guess we're going back. Bye.
All right, welcome back. Those of you who were in room 1 who had the narrative standard, do you want to just share out? I don't think you guys put it in the Padlet, but if you just want to share out what you guys talked about.
Hi, so we in the beginning we weren't really sure which one we had, so we just had a little bit of time to look at it.
Okay.
The standard obviously is the narrative one. Write personal or fictional narratives using a logical sequence of events, transitions, and an ending.
Uh-huh.
The clarification takes you to the writing types. It takes you to Appendix C, which kind of tells you what narrative writing is. If you go to the next page in that Appendix C, it just pulls up some narrative techniques, some
Okay.
words and phrases that are used that you can teach your students, and just techniques for writing.
Perfect. Yep. I know, I like that one too. In fact, good. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Room 2 who had argumentative opinion. Room 2, anybody?
It said we had to have reasons to support our opinion
Uh-huh. Yep.
from a source, and we kind of grumbled a little bit about what source are we supposed to use, since we can't use Epic and there's certain books and stuff to get a class of 20 to have enough sources for them to use.
Okay. Yep, and I underlined in that one too. I noticed how they said reasons and details. They were plural, so more than one reason and more details. And that I also noted that they, in K through 5, it's considered opinion, but when they move on to middle and high school, it's argumentative.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you guys for sharing. The next one is expository group. It was room 3.
Hey, it's Paulina. Can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We actually didn't have a conversation. We were trying to figure out which one we were on as well. But I was just reviewing the standard and then the benchmark clarifications, and then looking at Appendix C as well, to see if there were other resources that we can use.
Yep. And then I put 2 of the things that stand out a lot to me for the opinion standard and the expository is that it says a source, so it's not coming from multiple. They don't do that until they get into the next grade. It's multiple sources. So I've been fighting that really hard when it comes to some of our decision making with the writing, because the standard says a source, not sources, but doesn't mean you can't push your kids later on when they're ready for that to give them more than one. And then a common thing across all 3 of those was that they all have transitions and they all have conclusions. So they're wrapping up that full essay. And then room 4, you guys had the writing process standard, or improving writing. Do you guys want to share what you found?
So the biggest clarification that we noticed was editing from peers, which is what we talked in length about, how it's such a focus, but yet it's something that has to be managed and sequenced very well, and it has to be modeled, whether it's through the teacher, through mentor text, and through other sources, you know, to have that peer editing can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how it's sometimes the easiest thing to cut out. People
Yeah.
just forget because they're like, oh, I don't have time for that, and they move on. But we also talked about how important it is, and what they learn from the, you know, that process of presenting their writing, and, you know, even sometimes when putting them into peer groups, like they don't catch everything, but then when they come up to present in like an author's chair
Mm-hmm.
or an author's time, they
Mm-hmm.
start to pick up more on those things, and they start to recognize more things. But how that process of that editing by your peers is just such it's a difficult thing to start. But it's not impossible, and it just has to be started from the beginning. But that was the biggest takeaway, and we didn't get to the appendix. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I just want you guys to know that there are resources back there in the appendix part for everybody to use. But I like that you said that. I noted that in my notes because I am the one who's actually writing the second grade supplemental writing, or pulling pieces of it together. So I'm going to put that down. Maybe that's some mini lessons or some explicit instruction that I can incorporate down the road to help with that peer editing piece.
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you all who shared and did your work. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to move on to the second goal, which is hopefully most of you know where this is by now, but if not, do not worry. That's why we're kind of going over it again. So we have our instructional resources. So I just want to make sure everybody is super familiar with where they are located. So in Schoology, when you go under the elementary curriculum folder, you go to resources on the left, or some people go up to the top, second grade, and then English language arts. And right here, you will see writing supplemental curriculum documents. That's where you're going to find all of the supplemental writing for the year. We only have the launch up in Q1, but Q2 is in the works, so do not worry, these are coming. And then inside that folder, you will see the pacing guide, Q1 resources, and then there's even some resources for you to include second grade. If you do a writing folder in your room, some resources in there. So we'll dive a little deeper into that in just a second. This is hot off the press. So if you want to take a little picture of it, or I'm going to send you the PowerPoint later today or tomorrow. I can't promise it'll be tonight. I'm going to send you the PowerPoint, but this is kind of the genre overview for the writing units for the rest of the school year. So just so you know, have a little peek about that. We mapped that out and got that going. We're going to get back on track with aligning the text, what we're writing and what we're reading to the same genres as much as we can with Benchmark. Then you know that underneath the writing supplemental curriculum documents, you have the Q1 supplemental pacing guide, which lays it out for you for the whole quarter. So we first started with the launch for 15 days. And I put some flex days in there because I was thinking no one was really going to start over here. So, and then we have it for all the way up to the last to record day, October 13th. And again, I know we had the hurricane and things come up. So do what's best for your students. You know that in your classroom. Then within that same folder, you have the Q1 resources, which is where I have taken anything that was taken from RightScore. I took it off there, downloaded it, and organized it into the days for you, so you wouldn't have to go searching on RightScore. But if you do need some supplemental or some scaffolding activities, you can use RightScore because you have access on with your grade level. You could go on there and they have some strategy lessons, shorter lessons in a unit, writing a paragraph. So you could also go in there and look around too. Then within that same folder, I was telling you about the second grade writing folder materials. Within that folder, you have a second grade word wall that you can make for the students. And I know that kindergarten and first are really big on folders. So they'll put like a red dot and a green dot on the side of like a prong two pocket folder. And red means they are, it's a published piece, and green means keep going. So, and in between they have these and their sheet protectors as a resource for the students. I also recently was with a 5th grade class, and they were making resource folders for each subject they have. And so that's what gave me the idea with the appendix in the back. And you could pull in, I mean, obviously with 2nd grade elaboration techniques, you could teach them how to do this. Maybe not put this in there, but maybe make it to their, make it more kid friendly than this is, or even some of the narrative techniques like putting in dialogue or a flashback, picking what's appropriate for 2nd graders. And then that might change from the beginning of the year to the end, because you know that at 2nd grade, they grow so much. And then the last thing that we are going to look at is the rubric. So I kind of want to just touch base with the rubric and let you guys know that we took the, well, first it's in Schoology as well. I'm sorry, I'm passing up that because I want to have time for conversation and questions. So in Schoology as well, under writing rubrics, you will find the different rubrics for the units that you will be teaching. And then recently we created a checklist too, and I'll get to that in just a second. So when we're looking at for example, our first unit is the expository unit, we modified this from the 4th through 6th grade state rubric that is used to assess our students when they take the state writing test. So we took it and modified it for 3rd, and we modified it for 2nd grade, and we even went all the way down to kindergarten. And I just want you to know that now it is a 12-point rubric instead of an 8-point rubric. So when you're digging a little deeper into this, and it seems like it's a lot for 2nd graders, and it is, but this is to guide you, I would use the checklist more. And I'll hop over to that in just a second. We're just kind of going to go past this real quick, and we'll go back to that in a second. The checklist, which is in this same folder, gives the students more of a visual and tells them what needs to be in their writing to assess them. Now, you might not include all of these when you first start using this checklist. You might say, okay, guys, this time I'm only looking for A, B, and C because we're just getting started. But this is an end of the year goal to meet that standard. So having all these components by the end of the year is what you want to strive for. And just to show you, I'll go back to the state rubric, or state, the modified one from the state. You still have the 3 domains, the purpose and structure, the development, and the language. And then it's, like I said, it's now on 12. So each one came to have 4 points, each domain. 4 being above grade level, 3 within the range of the grade level, 2 is approaching, and 1 is below grade level performance. Let me go see if I missed anything on this one. Nope, it was all that. That's all that was. And so then before you start teaching each unit, like this one was your expository unit, look at these rubrics a little bit more in the checklist. For example, your next unit for quarter 2, you will start with the opinion. So looking at the opinion rubric and the opinion checklist, which I will actually get that up on Schoology because it is done. I just haven't posted it yet because I didn't want to overwhelm everybody. I'll go ahead and get that up too. And then we said the writing checklist as well. So you can dive into those a little bit more because I really want to be able to answer questions and see if anybody has anything. And then we also, one of my favorite things we did this summer was we took writing exemplars from our students in Manatee County. They were our students, they were their right score, and we printed out and discussed and looked at, right score, what we would have scored it using the rubrics we created. And so you have exemplar text in a packet that you could even show your students, like, hey, this is what a 1 looks like, this is what a middle of the road, a 6 looks like, and this is what, 11 or 12 looks like. And let the kids read that and analyze that and show them what a second grader is expected to do. Here's some examples. This was a 1. And then here's a 6. And then, sorry, it's so small on my screen, and that's an 11. So the only thing when I was looking at this was I had a hard time with the paragraph situation, but that's another topic. Okay, so let's get to any questions or concerns or feedback that you guys might have, or if I can help you locate something, or just be able to talk to each other about what's happening in your writing block, what it looks like. Maybe you need some suggestions. So feel free to just unmute and ask your questions.
Nicole, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So because we're practicing expository text, am I drawing the conclusion that our writing assessment for this will be, will they follow the same, or is it something else?
I don't know if I'm allowed to tell the genre, but I would say that
Okay.
You're inferring. If you can infer
Correctly.
the way it's laid out.
Gotcha. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to ask.
Yep. So Janae, I hope that answers kind of your question too that you put in the chat. And for you guys for second grade as well, I believe, don't hold me to this because we decided this a while ago, that you will be able to read them the text the first one, but not the second one. I believe that's how we mapped it out. Actually, let me see if I have it in my notes right here. Anybody have any other questions, concerns, suggestions, things that are working great for you, things you might have questions, like even how do I fit my writing in? Like how come I'm struggling with this? Like anything, open discussion.
We have a hard time fitting the writing in.
Okay.
And, with our second graders, we're finding that simple grammar is a big issue for them. Very, very hard time. Like the other day, I'm like, you need at least 3 sentences. We were talking about our writing, and they were just changing like one of the words, and I'm like, no, we need to expand on our writing, and just trying to get that whole piece in is a lot with everything else that they have. I feel that the way the curriculum is written, I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but I feel like the math portion, somebody just in math thought, you know what? Let's do all this for math. Let's do all this for writing. Let's do all this for LA. Let's do all this for science. And nobody really thought about how that's actually breaking down in the class, because I'm feeling writing and science kind of get lost.
Yeah. Anybody have you guys are living it. Anybody have any suggestions for her?
I can only share what we've done to accommodate our kiddos. Do you want me to share that?
That
I
would
know
be
you and I
great.
have talked
Yes.
about it. So our school, and this was an admin and a instructional coaching decision, we moved to a 4-week lesson plan rather than a 3-week, because we were running into that same issue, and it all went back to the strand that if they don't write about their reading, they're never going to be able to read. The readability will not build. And so we went to a 4-week plan, and what that looks like, I mean, I can send you more details later on if you'd like. But weeks 1, 2, and 3, and so the first 3 days of each week, instead of piling comprehension and writing, we've picked and chosen our lessons and kind of modified them. And so day 1, 2, and 3 are comprehension lessons only, because I mean, right off the bat, you're at DOK 3, and we were finding the same issue. Like, we could barely get through the questions, and they're staring at you like deer in a headlight. What do you mean you want me to find the central idea? I've never even heard of the central idea. So, less relevant details, and let's quote them. So, we found out really quickly that we had to break things apart. So then the first 3 days, we focus heavily on comprehension. And then phonics stays the same, day 1 through 5. We do phonics the same way every week. Day 4 and 5, we've taken Nicole's plan, which we loved because it took a lot of the thinking away from us. And we've taken those lessons that she kind of made for writing, and we moved those into day 4 and 5. And so, but the difference that we did was that since we knew it was expository, for example, all of our writing lessons on day 4 and 5 deal with how to write an expository. So, for example, last week, which was week 1, we finished, and we wrote about facts that we found, because let's face it, they don't even know sometimes the difference between a fact and opinion, much less how do I express that. Then this week we worked on descriptive words between the facts. Like, how can we I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and I just did it today, 2 to 3 sentences on which habitat is the best for survival of the most species, which some of these questions do come from the I think it's like day at the back of each week, there's those questions. Some of those are like modified questions that we've used from the back in the magazines.
Okay.
They have some questions that they're supposed to respond to. So we've kind of taken those and tailored those to meet expository writing needs. And so then the third week, we do the same thing. We do 3 days of comprehension. And then during those comprehension lessons on day 4 and 5, don't shoot the messenger here, but we don't always get to science on day 4 and 5, but day 1, 2, and 3, we do. So we're at least getting that in a little bit more. And then week 4, our focus is reteach, assessment, and then our writing is the main focus in that block of time on a straight expository writing. I believe it's an expository writing, and then they will use the right resources to teach that. Well, now we've learned all these things, let's put it together, and this is what this will look like. And it comes straight from Nicole's layout of what she did. So that's kind of how we've broken it up so that our students can feel more successful, because we were getting the same looks that you were. Okay, now you need to write 3 sentences. And they're like, they don't even know how to start a sentence.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
So, if you could send me that
that
would be
half-hour
great.
time frame.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to send you our 4-week plan so you can kind of take a look. And like I said, it's very brief, but that's how we've accommodated our Title I students and the kiddos in our class, higher and lower, and even the average kid. But it's not perfect, but at least we've seen improvement over the last, what has it been, 4 weeks? They want to write. They want to answer the question. And instead of just using their do.
Oh, she broke up.
Oh,
There we go.
I will send it to you.
let's see.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and it is kind of like with most of our stuff, we have to pick and choose based on the needs of our students and looking at their data and seeing what they're needing too. So, and we don't know what instruction they came in with from the previous year, how much writing instruction they have. So if you do, I do want to show you guys this real quick. Let me share my main screen. Hold on one second. Screen. Like I was telling you on RightScore, when you go into the tile on your computer, mine looks a little bit different than yours because I have all grade levels. But on the left-hand side, if you go to teacher resources and you select your grade level, let me move this out of the way so you guys can see. There are, like over here, there's daily lessons, writing strong essays. There's different targeted lessons, like if someone needs more help with introductions, conclusions, transitions. So feel free to browse around in here. We have this resource this year. So I've been pulling a lot from the units. So if you wanted more of the targeted lessons like spelling, grammar, punctuation, sentence formation, you have that in there too. So feel free to kind of look in there for those. There's some on evidence and elaboration, details. So you can look in there too if you wanted to pull a small group to focus on your writing to say, oh, you know what, these guys are not getting their endings, their conclusions of their stories are not so hot. I'm going to pull them and use this to do that. Or if your whole class needs it, whatever you need. So these are also here as well. And then once you take RightScore in October, then your results will also come up in here as well. Oh, I almost hit leave by accident. Any other questions, concerns, why we are all together? I like when you guys are able to share with each other because you're all living it out there and you know it's working for you, and sharing ideas is one of my favorite things. Doesn't mean it'll always work for everybody, but having that opportunity to share out what you're doing is always good. Cassie, I'll make sure Alicia sends it to you too. I'll let her know. All right, well, if there is nothing else, I have you all down for attendance. Thank you for participating, and I hope to see you guys later on in some more of our PDs.
Thanks, Nicole.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
Grandpa?
How's the birthday girl?
Oh, I'm doing good. Kiddos got me sick, but that's all right.
What got sick?
Kiddos got me sick, but that's all right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I went to the doctor yesterday. I'm all good. Just, normal
Nice.
chest stuff.
You're not even in school then, huh?
Oh no, I go to school. I'm not contagious, just find it difficult to breathe.
Want to wait another week then for your
Well,
going out to the lunch?
well, what do you want me to bring in tomorrow?
No, don't bring anything in. We can go out if you feel like going out.
Well, I'd much rather bring something in. It's a lot easier, Grandpa. I know you want to go out, but that wheelchair is just too heavy for me. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but the new one isn't too heavy for you. But that's
The red one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know, Grandpa, but you know what? I'm just more comfortable bringing stuff in. I know you don't like that, but as you get stronger, I'll consider it. But I'd much rather just bring something in, okay?
Okay, well, just surprise me and bring something in then.
Okay. Do you have a taste for anything?
No,
Okay.
nothing particular at all.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I will see you
Fish-
tomorrow.
Fish and chips or shrimp and chips or whatever, man.
All right. Sounds good. I'll
It's your
bring.
birthday, you pick out what you want.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay,
All right, Grandpa. I'll see you tomorrow, probably about 4:30, okay?
okay, and I hope you get the feeling better.
Thank you. I will. I love you.
Okay, love you, honey.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Hi, I can't come to the phone right now. Please leave your name and number and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey, call me if you can.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Hopefully you're driving home. And No, you're fine. So I am looking over week 3 plans, okay?
Yes.
So we don't need to do poetry that week at all because we're doing it in week 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I had said that before, that we were kind of going to have 2 days of poetry, or if you just wanted to have 1, or.
Right. So my question is, did we talk about what we want to put in there instead?
No, we didn't. Right now I had left it as just like 2 full days of just reteach the poetry that second day.
Well,
but if you want to change it to something else.
that's okay. So I kind of opened my mouth and inserted my foot because, so that 2nd grade meeting, were you on it today?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so basically there were only like 12 of us.
Wow.
And it was nice because it was small. And they were asking, they're like, well, what do you guys do? And that kind of left the door for us to kind of share our, like how we do the 4-week plan. And so then of course that opened up, well, can you send it to me? Can you send it to me? And then I'm like looking at it going, I think I need to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row before I send this off. So that's what I was looking at. So we didn't come up with a solution, right?
No, right now I had just left it as, you know, the first lesson, do poetry lesson, go over like rhyming. Like,
Okay. So
I
I
want to make it just one day of poetry and the other one something else.
no,
That's
what I
fine.
think I want to do is I want to leave the 2 days of poetry in week 4. Like you have it.
Well, right now I think one is in week 3, one's in week 4.
Okay.
You wanna move?
Yep, I'm going to move it right now. And I'm going to make 2 days in, hypothetically, that would create another day. I know Dad's home. She's staring at the door. Okay, so yeah, that would be perfect because then that'll give teacher choice, but I think that's definitely a good way. Yeah, I think 2 days of poetry would be a good thing because it'll be a quick mini lesson.
Yeah, I think so too, just with it, and especially with like, I don't know about your class, but I've had that Lexia lesson for rhyming.
Yep.
For 3 of my students already.
Yeah, they just don't do that old school stuff that like we were taught. They don't sit down and do that stuff. And it's
So I'm thinking, because I already know poetry's big, and I'm like, well, if they're already not knowing rhyming, like poetry is perfect because I'll be able to get through the poetry stuff, the features, like stanzas and all that.
right.
And be also able to, you know, handle going through the rhyming.
I agree.
Help pull those kids up.
I agree. Yeah, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in twice so that you have 2 days to cover it and maybe introduce stanzas, you know, and all of that.
Yeah, and introduce those features and like talk about like how poetry, there's different types of poetry and, you know.
Yep, and also the comprehension of poetry.
Yeah, because it's definitely, I mean, the first one that we did with in the launch unit, it's very hard for them
Yep.
to get into the tone and the motion of like poetry.
I agree. Nope, 100%. All right, I just wanted to make sure we didn't have some focus. So I'm going to alter it in both places, so don't worry about it. And so the first day we're going to identify features of poetry. And then we're going to identify rhyme schemes in the poem and comprehension of poem.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good plan.
Yep. Me?
You're welcome. You too. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, sounds great, girl. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, baby. How was your day, dare I ask? My kids were a-holes at the end of the day. I had to get a clean one this morning, and you take the big Stanley ones and nothing else fits. So I had to dig, and I finally found one. outside all day. No, not that I saw. All right. Not bad. Till the end, then it was like, what the frick is wrong with you guys? Okay, so had a issue today. So I sent out a message telling everybody we have a new week coming up, week 4 in 2 weeks. I wanted to share what the ELA team has come up with. That'll be 20 minutes of your time. If you can't make it, I have all the resources that I can give you. And I will, if you can come, great. If not, I'll make sure that you get all the resources. So I get a phone call from Chrissy and, okay, because Genevieve has like decided that during our planning time, right? So I get a phone call from Genevieve and Sasso and they're like, we need to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, we've kind of realized a few things. We set everything up like last year, but we're kind of missing seeing you at recess. You were kind of like that go-to between, you know, the annex and the building. And I said, yeah. And they're like, well, we think that you and Lindsay should switch. And I said, well, how? Because like 3 of us are on one side of the recess and 3 of us are on the other side of the recess, okay? And we each have our own kids in front of us. We have one half of the playground, they have the other. And I'm like, well, okay. I go, how do you address this? I said, this is like, they're like, well, we were thinking that maybe you could just kind of propose it to Lindsay that you know, this would be a good thing. And you guys can talk to us and like, hey, you know, I kind of miss talking with them. I was kind of that bridge between the 2 different places. Would you be willing to switch with me? And you go to the other playground with Carol and Cameron, or you, and then I'd go over there. So I'm like, well, I don't. They're like, we kind of miss talking to you just in general. She's like, but they're like, you know, you kind of gave us all that information. They're like, because we can't commit so we have paid planning, okay? Our lunch is not paid, but our planning time is paid, right? So they're like, yeah, we just can't commit every planning time. I go each week. And I go, well, I don't understand, because last year we had to meet once a week for planning. This year we're getting once a month for planning. I said, so we're going from 4 hours to 1 hour because of our budget cut. I said, I'm not even asking. And I said, it's not just me asking, guys. Like, we have questions about math plans and we don't get to ask them. And I said, because, you know, of course, we're going over it. I said, me, either first thing on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, and everybody else Sunday, or me Sunday. And I said, I'm not texting you guys to ask unless I absolutely can't figure it out on my own. I said, and that's how everybody else feels. We want to respect everybody's time. And they're like, well, just think about it and think. And I said, well, I just don't understand. I said, we're going from having all of this planning time that's paid to now having a quarter of it. Why can't we sit down to discuss everything for a couple minutes once a week? Well, we just can't commit that. And I'm like, why the fuck? You know, in my head, I'm going, so I said, all right. I said, I don't think that's a bad idea. I said, but let me think about it. And I said, I'll let you guys know when I say something, if I say something. So I sit down and Carol and I are talking. I'm like, you're never going to believe this. And she just turned to me and she's like, what the fuck? I said, I don't even know where to begin. I said, I don't understand it. So even Cameron's like, what the hell? And she doesn't say boo. She usually just kind of like goes with the flow, right? And I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't get it. And I said, I know we all have tricky classes and I know everything's crazy, but I said, I don't understand why we're so against meeting during planning. We don't have enough time during lunch. And I said, I go, you guys realize that, like, Carol and I have to leave almost 10 minutes before you guys. 5 to 10 minutes. And they're like, yeah, I guess we didn't think about that. But I'm like, Genevieve's not even making plans. It's Chrissy. She's running everything by Genevieve together. But I don't even think Genevieve's doing it. So I called Katie. I'm like, all right. I go, I need to know what Greg's opinion is about team leads. This is right before, oh, hold on, before this, Carol burst into my room. And another thing, I'm like, oh God. She's like, we are paid to have planning during the day. That's why we have common planning times. Why are they so resistant to meeting during planning times? And I'm like, I don't know. That's a good question. She goes, I think that's what you should ask. I said, that's not a bad idea. And she goes, I like that you told them, hey, let me think about it. I said, well, that's always my go-to at the moment, because sometimes I think on the fly and I'm not always 100% sure that what I'm feeling is how I should react. So I don't know. I was just like, I cannot believe you guys are asking that. You got one real heavy box. What the hell did you order? Nunya. I could barely lift it into the room. No. But I will help you look for it. Yes, that might be the last place it was. Yeah. Well, a couple of things. One, we need to get rid of this candy because it's stale and old, and I keep eating it even though it's stale and old. This is not stale. Okay, so do you want me to make you a bag? Why don't you grab me a Publix bag? Yeah. Oh yeah. I could use some too. Amazon has deals. Woo! Actually, I was thinking, why don't you make some, it's Taco Tuesday. Feel like some tacos? I know, you could always go for some tacos. And I think you should put some both beef bouillon into.
One or two.
Two. If you use 2 packages, then do 2. Oh, you just press play. Stop. Please.
Can you see it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, just a simple.
Customers, I just fucking paid you to fix this and the fucking thing's not working. I want somebody over here in an hour. Did you check it and test it? Oh, better have somebody on their way. Okay.
You might need to put that in. So this is what I said. I said, so I'm sending a text. So I've had some time to think about what you all are asking. I just feel that it's not a good decision. In ways, I understand where you're coming from, but Lindsay is doing a phenomenal job, and no matter how it gets twisted, feelings will get hurt. I also keep coming back to why can we not just meet all of us during our common planning? Not every week, but 15, 20 minutes every other week without being rushed. If you make it, great. If you don't have questions or concerns, totally understandable. Oh, I have some major concerns, but again, I have to tread lightly. Grandpa's really disappointed because I don't want to take him out. And then I said, oh, well, Grandpa, I don't want to have to lift that wheelchair. Well, you can lift the new one. Fuck. I'm like, gosh darn it.